So a lot of good things happened in the game. It was exactly what we expected. Once again, I'll say that Gene's done a great job, and he's in a situation where he's probably a year away from really being able to make a run at it. But you just got to look at how they're preparing, how they're doing things there. He's doing a really good job, so I have a lot of admiration. He's a good friend, and I have a lot of admiration for him. Brandon Banks was terrific again, and he's been that way since he's been here. He's been very consistent, and he's a real competitor, and real pleased for him and all the other guys who did so much to give these seniors and all of us a win today. So with that, I'll take questions. Yeah, we talked a lot about this week. These seniors have been through a lot now. These are a pretty small group of kids who were recruited out of high school as scholarship players. Some junior college guys who we tried to add to that group, knowing that it was going to be a small group. But really the guys who and I don't have a lack of respect for any of those other two groups, but those walk-on kids have been so important to us. Guys like Chris Bamberger and Andrew Urker and so many other guys, Heath Alexander, some of those guys are so important to what we've been doing in the kicking game. And guys who are really unselfish, guys like Cedric Wilson who changed positions. And, had we been smarter, maybe he would be a great corner because he could have been there all 3 years, but we were so depleted at wide receiver at one point. And he was unselfish, never said a word, however I can help, and that's been his mentality. And got a lot of respect for those guys. But, very satisfying for the coaches and for the seniors. These seniors will probably be a group that will be very successful because they've seen a lot of ups and downs. They've seen a lot of talented people come and go. They've seen people who couldn't hang in there and really stick with the fight. They've had some their own personal things they've had to try to overcome. But I think this is a group that will really cross their T's and dot their I's for the rest of their life. And I think we'll hear a lot from these guys on a bigger stage. Because ultimately that's what this is about. It's about educating and preparing young people for the future, and these are all kids that have a real good chance to make an exciting impression on this global world that we're living in, and I'm really proud of them. I'm really glad we won the game. I told the kids after the game, I was raised by a career NCO, and try to be the same guy every day. So I'm really satisfied that we got the win, and that's about it. So real happy for those seniors. Go ahead. That's all right. I think so. I think it's a little bit different. It's one of the challenging things about this. The folks who I feel for the most are the parents of these players, especially for the young players, because you sat in their homes and you told them exactly what the deal was going to be, and that you're going to go to class and become an educated person and do all those things and improve as a player and be on a winning team, et cetera. So they have some uncertainty just because they're not living it. They're back home, wherever home is, wondering what's going on. The players are resilient. They'll be fine. They'll bounce back. K-State will get a great coach, and they'll play hard for them. I have no concern about that. And then the assistant coaches, and their families who really have, the families of those assistant coaches. They didn't call any plays, or they didn't do anything, that they shouldn't have done, and so now they've got to, be uprooted out of school and out of different, situations and move across the country, whatever it is. So obviously, I feel most for those two groups, the parents of these kids, and the assistant coaches and their families who have to move. So those are the two groups I feel the most for. No, I think the reality of it is that we're constantly evaluating what we're doing. We think that we're improving all the time, or at least one of the things that you can't fool yourself in this business. You have to be very honest about where you are and what your team can do and how you're performing. We assess ourselves constantly. We don't always tell all of you guys what we think and where we're improving and how we're trying to do it. But I think I've grown a lot as a person, and I think I've grown a lot as a coach. I've learned a ton. I've learned a lot about human nature. It's one of the first experiences that I've had with losing, and it really wears on people. And I've been so proud of the kids and the people in this organization with their professionalism throughout this whole thing. Completely different than anything that you would normally expect under the circumstances. These kids have practiced hard every single day. We just have some places that we were young and inexperienced or what have you, and it needs some improvement. But they've done terrific, and we evaluate things constantly. And I'll take some time here, starting on Monday, to sit down and look at the entire 3 years and what we did and how we did it. And anybody who's got any sense does that. But while you're in the middle of it, all you can do is make the best decisions with the best information that you have on hand. That's what we've tried to do. Well, I know what I've learned about human nature is that what people are really resilient, and they really fight through what could be normally trying circumstances, particularly when they're competitors. And when people in the outside world are telling you that you should cave in or give in or there is no hope, that's not what the human spirit's all about. That's why people do climb mountains or go find hidden treasures and find their dreams, because they don't accept what's conventional wisdom or what's given to them that they should believe. And I found a bunch of kids that really bought in, believed, and despite the fact that we didn't win the games that we wanted to win at all times, they came back and were terrific and resilient. And that's what I found out about the human spirit, and it's indomitable and it's terrific. I think as a sports organization, we are better than when we arrived. From a win-loss standpoint, I think this has been a very tumultuous, 5 years. I think that the reality is that two different coaches have basically finished their tenure here the same way. And so I think there are some things that obviously for the next coach to have success and be successful, I think some things need to be evaluated. But I think that this is a team that has good young players, guys like Brandon Harold and Tyson Hartman and other players, good young players are going to be terrific. Zach Hansen, some of these guys, Joseph Castenvoid, weren't playing. We were redshirting quite a few kids. But I think that this team will have some talent, but there'll be some things that need to be improved for sure to make sure that we can kind of get out of this little doldrum that we've been in here for the last 5 years. I have no clue. We've the phone's been ringing a lot, but I've asked everybody just to wait till Monday and give us some time to try to do a good job for these seniors. Take a little time tomorrow and watch some games and sit down and try to evaluate what I can do to help our assistant coaches, what I can help from these players. I want these players to do a good job in school. I want them to do a real good job with having an open mind and really giving the new head coach a chance to buy in. I think that the longer it takes for kids to buy in, the more struggles you have. And we want to see Kansas State do well. Zoe and I will always be Wildcat fans, and I'm from here, and I want K-State to do real well, and that won't change. Well, I think the reality is that in our situation, Kansas State always has to have everybody on board rowing the boat in the same direction. There's not the same margin for error or to be inefficient as, let's say, some of the larger organizations in college sports. If you understand from a budget standpoint, fan base standpoint, stadium side, all those things. Everybody has to be rowing the boat in the same direction. And I think we got the boat going in the same direction that Coach had it. But just from all the little small things that we had to do, consumer confidence, the street, we had some nice wins at nice times. But really, if you can't beat your rival consistently, if you can't put the team in the postseason consistently, it makes it very tough to be successful at Kansas State, because there's so much riding on postseason and being consistently in the postseason and then building your team over time. And I think that's just the reality of the last 5 years. I think that we've got it going in a certain direction, but I think there are some things that need to be looked at and some things that need to be improved. I don't know, beat KU a couple times, maybe that would help. Do some things like that. Beat Oklahoma and Texas Tech. I think the Colorado game and some of the other games. We gave up a lot of points. This year. And that's tough. This is a really good league. It's one of the things I told Gene. I see improvement in his team, but this is just a really hard league to try to get better in. And I think the reality, just look at the standings. The teams that are at the top are the teams that have had their coach in place the longest. And I think that the reality is that it's real easy to second guess and look back, but The reality is when you have churn and you're turning over head coaches, it's very hard to build it in a league like this. And that's just the truth. I mean, Mike's done a great job at Tech. Mac's done a great job. Bob's doing a great job. But so's Gary and Mark. And those guys have been there for a while, and they're building it and they're doing it. And that's part of the key to this. Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.